Next month, Nigerians will head to the polls to exercise their right to pick a new government, beginning with the federal elections. A survey by SBM Intelligence showed that more Nigerians intend to vote in the 2023 general elections, suggesting that the trend of decreasing voter turnout in elections since 2003 will be reversed. SBM surveyed 6,588 respondents midway into the Independent Electoral Commission (INEC's) permanent voter card (PVC) collection timetable to ascertain how Nigerians who desire to vote and who have completed the continuous voter registration (CVR) process are faring as regards the collection. The survey's findings show that 97% of respondents desire to vote. Of this figure, 94% completed the CVR process, that is, physical capture. 90% have tried to pick up their PVCs, and 79% successfully picked up their PVCs. As encouraging as the voter registration data is, the current security landscape casts doubts over the reality of a hitch-free election, presenting the possibility that willing voters may change their minds just before D-Day if their safety cannot be guaranteed.
Oh my God.
Nigeria has had a history of electoral violence. The 1993 presidential elections were adjudged the freest and fairest in the country's history. However, violence followed the military's decision to annul the polls. The closest thing to free and fair elections in the current democratic dispensation were the 2011 elections, which international observers judged credible. Still, the process was marred by at least 3 days of violence, which left over 800 people dead in many parts of northern Nigeria. Early signs have shown that this current electoral cycle will be beset with violence like the past. Between January and December 2022, there have been at least 58 incidents of politically motivated violence in the country, which have left at least 27 people dead. Going back to the electorate, the SBM survey on voter registration showed that 24% of respondents encountered violence while trying to pick up their PVCs. Across the geopolitical zones, Nigeria faces a plethora of different and sometimes strikingly similar security crises. The Boko Haram insurgency still rages in the northeast, with bigger problems for the military, as it now fights a more formidable enemy, the factional Islamic State West Africa Province, or ISWAP. In the northwest, the military's counter-terrorism campaign against bandits, which it launched in September 2011, enters its second year, with the most notable success being the dislodgement of Boko Haram's first breakaway group, Ansaru, away from its traditional operational base in the burning Gwari area of Kaduna. Bandits continue to successfully stage attacks in Kaduna, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, and sometimes in Jigawa. It is a similar case in the north central, where the country continues to deal with multiple threats from militant Fulani groups, bandits, and an ever-expanding ISWAP, which staged successful attacks in the FCT, Kogi, and Niger states in 2022. Matching these realities with the fact that more people are willing to vote for the first time in urbanized locations like Abuja and Kaduna leaves room for uncertainty. In the South, the problem of youth gangs has never been solved, despite occasional police arrests in virtually every state in the South experiencing such challenges. Currently, the country's biggest southern headache is the activities of the secessionist indigenous people of Biafra in the southeast, whose activities have not only targeted the state, but every symbol associated with it, leading to attacks on political actors, INEC, the military, as well as government-controlled markets. The survey further highlights the situation in the southeast. In Ebonyi, for instance, 30% of the respondents were unable to complete their physical capture at INEC offices, which correlates with 31% of them saying they have not tried to pick up their PVCs. Worse still, more than half, about 55% of those who did try to pick up their PVCs in the state were unable to get them, while in Anambra, 42% of respondents couldn't get their PVCs. While INEC has recorded some success with respect to PVC transfers, as shown by the SBM survey, the Commission has been plagued with multiple attacks that have led to the destruction of voting materials with no likely hope of replacement before the polls. This raises the issue of disenfranchisement. The SBM survey also highlights this. For instance, in Ogun State, one of the states with such incidents, over 30% of respondents were unable to pick up their PVCs when they tried. In this coming election, which has a significant number of first-time voters, about 43%, who are mostly young people, INEC needs to be engaged to ascertain why younger applicants find it harder to pick up their PVCs despite trying. Putting this large electoral base at the risk of disenfranchisement amid the deep insecurity in the country, with more armed groups holding territories, is bound to have profound impacts on the credibility of the polls.